Have you ever noticed how the mind feels like an old radio that never turns off? No matter how hard you try, it keeps emitting static, voices, and the same off-key songs on repeat. This constant noise creates an invisible prison, making you believe you're experiencing the outside world when in fact you're trapped in the stories your mind is inventing. Most human suffering doesn't come from the facts themselves, but from the relentless interpretation, the dramatic scenarios that thought constructs. Imagine a lake. When its waters are agitated, it's impossible to see the bottom. The shapes that appear on its distorted surface look like monsters, shadows, threats that don't truly exist. That's how the mind is when it's restless. It distorts reality, multiplies fears, magnifies past pain, and anticipates tragedies that may never come. Yet the lake has always been pure, deep, and serene at its core. The turbulence is only on the surface, and without realizing it, you end up believing more in the distorted reflections than in the crystal-clear depth just beneath them. The human mind often works like an old radio that never turns off, endlessly broadcasting thoughts, memories, and worries. This constant hum creates the illusion that we are trapped, when in truth, the prison isn't in external situations, but in the stories our own mind creates about them. A difficulty, a problem at work, a harsh word from someone close. None of these by themselves have the power to destroy us. What truly wounds us is the narrative the mind invents, repeating, distorting, and amplifying every detail until it becomes unbearable. It's like looking at a restless lake, the murky, choppy water makes it impossible to see the bottom clearly. When the mind is in this state, reality becomes distorted and we mistake reflections for truth. But just as the lake's surface can settle and reveal the clarity of the water beneath, the mind too can become still, allowing life to be seen as it truly is, without filters, without invisible prisons. When the mind quiets down and we stop believing every thought it projects, something almost forgotten begins to emerge: inner space. It's as if, behind the constant noise, there's a vast, silent field that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. In this space, there are no judgments, no urgency, no weight of masks or social roles, only a pure, living presence that observes everything without becoming entangled in anything. This awareness is the part of us that never ages, never gets lost, never breaks, because it is not made of form, but of essence. When we touch this place, even if just for a moment, we feel a peace that does not depend on external circumstances. It is the remembrance that we are more than the body, more than thoughts, more than stories. We are the invisible screen onto which everything is projected. When this remembrance awakens, we begin to see that we are not victims of life, but co-creators of it. The external reality stops being an uncontrollable burden and starts to be seen as a reflection of what we're vibrating within. Thoughts, emotions, and intentions work like seeds cast into the invisible field of the universe. Sooner or later, they sprout into tangible experiences. When we cultivate fear, doubt, and resentment, we harvest situations that match that exact frequency. But when we nurture trust, clarity, and gratitude, we create space for previously hidden paths to reveal themselves. This doesn't mean that challenges disappear, but we stop fighting them as enemies and begin to see them as mirrors and opportunities for realignment. Life becomes a dialogue between our inner and outer worlds, and we learn that changing the way we look is the first step to changing what we see. With this understanding comes a silent, powerful responsibility to tend to our inner garden. Every emotion we feed, every thought we repeat, and every word we speak are like ripples that expand and return to us in the form of experience. This awareness of the dynamic should not be seen as a burden, but as liberation. After all, if we are capable of planting within us the highest frequencies, then we are just as capable of transforming the landscape of our lives. There is no longer room for the illusion that we are condemned to chance or blind fate. Instead, there is clarity that we actively participate in the creation of our reality. With this perspective, even silence becomes fertile, and even painful moments are recognized as invitations to grow, polishing the soul to reveal its true essence. The revelation that everything is interconnected awakens a deep reverence for the mystery of existence. We begin to realize that we are not alone, but immersed in a living web of forces, symbols, and meanings that respond to our state of being. Randomness dissolves and gives way to synchronicity. Seemingly unrelated events begin to align, bringing signs, encounters, and opportunities that feel tailor-made for our path. This awareness invites us to live with greater presence, attentive to the small details that once went unnoticed but now reveal themselves as messages from the universe itself. Simply trusting this flow places us in harmony with something greater, turning life into a sacred dance where every step, no matter how uncertain it may seem, is exactly where it needs to be. True wisdom does not lie in the desire to control or manipulate others, but in the ability to govern oneself. When we understand the universal laws, we see that trying to impose our will on others is a waste of energy, and often a guaranteed path to imbalance, since everything we emit eventually returns to us in some form. Real power is born from self-mastery, from mental discipline, emotional balance, and spiritual awareness that allow us to walk steadily, even in the midst of storms. Trying to shape the outer world without first shaping the inner one is like trying to move a shadow without moving the body. Does a futile effort. The key lies in transformation. And by transforming ourselves, the world around us inevitably changes in response, not through force or manipulation, but through the natural resonance of our own vibration. When you finally stop identifying with the incessant voice of your mind, you realize that transformation isn't something you need to search for out there, because it has always been within you. The emptiness you fear so much is not absence, but an infinite space where anything is possible. It is in this space that true freedom arises, the freedom to live fully, the clarity to see life as it really is, and the lightness to feel the world. Without the weight of the stories your mind insists on telling, each moment becomes an opportunity for presence, each breath an invitation to inner peace. You don't need to fight your thoughts or control every detail of what happens. It's enough to simply be, to observe, and to choose the heart as your silent guide. And it is in this simple act of presence that life begins to blossom in an authentic and profound way, revealing that you already are the transformation you've been seeking.